pancake and power slam. Turn it up. It's the pancake and power slam. Turn it up. It's the pancake and power slam show. Turn it up. It's the pancake and power slam. Turn it up. It's the pancake and power slam. Turn it up. It's the pancake and power slam show. Turn it up.
What's up, y'all? What's up, y'all? It's share time. Trying to get these shares going on. Let's see what we gonna play today. Let's do. I think we've done a couple of these. I gotta do. Let's do Beyond. That's my joint, Beyond. All right. So, all right. So, what's up, y'all? Today we're going to talk about why do men watch pro wrestling? Yep. That's what we're going to talk about today. Let's see. Scroll down on page 4. All right. Why do men watch pro wrestling? Share time, y'all. We're going to start heavily using my platform for something I'm skilled to do, y'all. I'm a doctor. I got a whole PhD in psychology, so I'm going to utilize that quite a bit now. That's going to be. I'm going to talk about inside news on my Patreon, on PNP. It's going to be more educational, man. I'm going to talk about psychology and pro wrestling, other than any type of breaking news information I receive. But hey, man, like I want PNP. I'm all about branding, man. I'm all about business. I want PNP to stand just by itself. And I want it to be a place, an evergreen place where people come and really get informed. And so I'm going to be a whole doctor on here. And so we're going to talk about why do men, that's the first psychology related topic for tonight. So be sure to thank you for my Twitter followers jumping in as well, man. I'm starting to put this on my live on my Twitter. So thank you so much for that. So yeah, we are going to really go in on some psychology, and I really appreciate that. I really appreciate the blessing of my expertise, and so we're going to have a lot of fun starting to like nerd out on psychology and pro wrestling. So be sure to join that. So this is share time. For those who don't know, we spend the first couple minutes sharing the link, reposting the link now on Twitter. It's just one click away. Hit that repost. Let your friends and your family, your peoples know about the show. So be sure to join there. So yeah, this is what we're going to talk about, y'all. Share time. Hit that share button. Yep. Be sure to share, y'all. Be sure to share. Share time. It's going to be fun, y'all. It's going to be a lot of fun. Great topic today. Lots of fun. And we are going to do that. I'm also going to share on my socials real quick while we're at it. I'll give you all about 30 more seconds to share. So I appreciate you doing all of that very, very, very much so. Very much so. So we are going to do that right now. So I appreciate it very, very much. Be sure to share on your socials. Why do men watch pro wrestling? Why do men watch pro wrestling? So we're gonna do that, y'all. You have a good time. We're gonna do that. We're going to nerd out, y'all. We're going to start nerding out on this show. I'm going to give you my expertise on psychology and integrate it with pro wrestling. So be sure, it's going to be very educational, very informational. So be sure to share that. Unless I get something like breaking news, like the day of or right before that, I haven't reported on my socials if I want to break it down more in depth. I'll talk about that, but there's so much integration when it comes to pro wrestling and psychology. All right. Just so many things. Why do men watch pro wrestling? Maybe I'll talk about women too in this. Why do women watch pro wrestling? Why are fans the way that they are? Why do people take pro wrestling so seriously? Why are there suicides in pro wrestling? Why do people have, there's so many, I'm not going to say all the topics I'm even thinking about in my head right now that we can talk about and we're going to talk about. So we're going to have an amazing time having from now on, be sort of hop on the socials and share. And we are doing that. We are doing that right now. And we're going to have a great time as we do always. And be sure to hop on and join and share. All righty then. Let's go. I got one more area. I got one more place to share that real quick. And we're gonna go, man. I'm really excited about this. I'm really excited about this new journey of PNP. And it's going to be wonderful. Lots and lots of fun, and it's going to be great. So I really, really appreciate that. Let me see. Okay, here we go. Okay, cool. All right. Sounds good. All right, so let's dive right in as we are getting a wonderful response here from the audience. Thank you very much. Please sure to share this, man. Like, share, subscribe. Let the listeners know that PNP is the opportunity, is the place to nerd out when it comes to pro wrestling psychology and breaking news. And so we're going to talk about pro wrestling psychology today. And we're going to talk about why men watch professional wrestling, y'all. We'll talk about why men watch professional wrestling. So I really want to emphasize, I'm going to go through an article, but I also want to, I'm going to go through an article from Psychology Today. But what I really want to do is I'm definitely going to share my, psychology PhD, expertise, knowledge of this. And I'm also going to really break down an interesting part of the article. So we're going to do this in a very tight time. If I don't have enough time to finish it here, I'm going to talk about it more the Patreon, but we got some other stuff to talk about on Patreon too. So that's patreon.com/pancakes and power sandwich. But we're going to have some fun today. Okay. So with that being said, let's get right into it, y'all. Let's get right into it. This is going to be a really, really cool topic. I'm going to read through it, and I'm going to definitely absolutely share my expertise of psychology and pro wrestling. So we're going to do this. Here we go. Why do grown men watch wrestling? All right, correctly thinking about pro wrestling's appeal. So this is by Christopher Dwyer, PhD. This was written about close to 2.5 years ago. 2 years and 5 months ago. So again, I'm going to read through it, and I'm going to absolutely chime in on my thoughts about there we go, about this. All righty then. Here we go. So quite a bit of psychology goes in pro wrestling to develop a character that will evoke. And of course, ask Doc. I'm going to get through this. I'm going to answer some questions on the side chat. Hashtag Ask Doc, and we're gonna rock and roll. All right, quite a bit of psychology goes into pro wrestling to develop a character that will evoke an emotional connection with the audience. The scripting in pro wrestling simply ensures as much excitement as possible. Watch pro wrestling can be a nostalgia field coping strategy. Grown man used to bring back the times that things were simpler. That's true. And so he goes in, first member of pro wrestling, Hulk Hogan, and so forth. So here's the thing. My first memory, and I'm going to be very short with this. A lot of people know here on the Pancakes and Power Slam show, my great grandma who passed away, it's been almost 30 years now. Wow. Almost 30 years ago. And she passed away, and she raised me. She raised me. She was the person who was just a constant in my life. She was tough. That's how I learned a lot about I learned so much. I learned so much with her raising me, and she was just amazing. She was tough. I mean, there were so many times where she was just no nonsense, and just she could be the cookie. She could be the cookie. That's for sure. I learned a lot about just being tough and not real and being no nonsense to people. And I learned so much from her. So she was a huge wrestling fan growing up, and I basically learned. I mean, I basically adopted that from her. And that's that. This was like mid 80s when I started watching wrestling, 85, 86, maybe. I was a kid and watching pro wrestling in front of the TV. She passed away, and I told myself, you know what? In dedication to her, I will continue to watch pro wrestling. And me being more business minded as I got older, I was like, you know what? I'm going to make money doing this. I'm going to be business minded doing this. And now I've had opportunities to write for many really cool outlets. Write for Sportskeeda right now. I do my podcast for Sportskeeda right now. For Sportskeeda, and I get paid well there. They treat me awesome there, and I'm super blessed. And she'd be proud of me. I mean, like that's my biggest thing, y'all. Like, I can criticize the business so much about this is what I don't like. I mean, well, I can. I mean, I may, and I will continue to do that as far as just constructive criticisms of the business. But here's the thing, and I've shared this in many of my podcasts before. At the end of the day, man, I enjoy what I do. I love what I do when I do these things on a podcast. I'm doing it in honor of my great grandma, who would be so proud of me that I've met so many wrestlers and go and do media and different platforms, different shows, with WWE credentialed, and she would be so proud of me. So that alone is good by me, and I will continue to do this because because I do it in honor of her. All right, so that is just the backdrop of me watching pro wrestling. So he goes on and talks about predetermined outcomes, but it's definitely not fake, which I agree. It's not fake. It's staged. It's choreographed. It's predetermined, but injuries are real. I have this conversation with people a lot. MMA, I enjoy both of those. Comparison to MMA, So he says it was during lockdown. Saw Jordan Peterson discuss from his mom suggested pro wrestling's popularity may be down to it simply becoming a draw. I didn't know about that. I didn't know Jordan Peterson said this. I mean, Jordan Peterson, one of the most renowned philosophers in the modern era. That's interesting that he talked about pro wrestling. Maybe down to it simply being a drama, such as one quote, for people who did not want to go to movies. Interesting. It's only true to this perspective. Wrestling's full of storylines that are designed to give their good guy, i.e. the face, over with the fans and generate heat for the bad guys over the heel. So understand this for a second. Even from a non-inside the pro wrestling bubble mindset, this person here goes back, watches wrestling during COVID, grew up, and that's very common. I grew up watching pro wrestling. I watched pro wrestling during COVID, and now I'm watching wrestling again, especially when The Rock came back last year. So that's normal. Unfortunately, the Raw numbers, the SmackDown numbers don't show that. But at the same time, people did watch it, during COVID because they were inside. So that's very normal. And so even people who were out of the business as far as finding interest in it and went back to the business finding interest in it, there's still a common theme. And I say this all the time. That's why it's so important for diehard pro wrestling fans to get out of the bubble so much and realize that the more, non-wrestling bubble, wider scale philosophy and view of this still is good guys, bad guys, heroes, villains, overheat. That is the tried and true. That is still the widespread philosophy when it comes to pro wrestling. Yes, I've seen even people on my comments saying, "Well, whoever boos get booed, whoever cheers get cheered." I think that is the stupidest philosophy. Like maybe 1 week they'll get booed, 1 week they'll get cheered. That is an incredibly stupid philosophy. If that's the case, use your real name. Have everything be your real name in your socials. Most wrestlers don't use their real name. They use a stage name. A lot of times, even a one-word stage name. Ricochet is a stage name. Like there's a lot of people nowadays still. Braun Strowman is a stage name. It is a very common thing. It's still a very choreographed, animated comic book come to life is what I always describe it as, phenomenon. It's still that. Now, I understand that a lot of people love their matches and things like that. That is an element of something that's way bigger. And so it's really important to talk about that when it comes to the psychology of pro wrestling. And this author here, this writer here talks about, hey, I'm coming back in. I'm looking for good guys, bad guys, faces, heels. And a lot of times people, they come in to look for that because that's what brought pro wrestling to the dance in the first place. And then they don't see that. They see matches, and then they're out. they bang out because they're like, I don't know what the heck this is. I don't know where to jump in. I'm looking for a storyline. I'm looking for saga. I'm looking for all of those things. And so very important to talk about that. Talked about more. Okay, let's get into this. All right. Let's get into the Jungian archetypes. That comes from the psychiatrist, psychoanalyst, psychologist, psychology expert, Carl Jung. And so he basically, there's so much about Carl Jung. Carl Jung basically was a protege of, it was more of a contemporary of Freud. Of course, we know Freud with the psychodynamic concept, id, ego, superego. Before that was a typographical. I mean, it's around 1932, 1933 is when we start seeing like the psychodynamic model. Before that was a typographical model, which a lot of Carl Jung's philosophy actually came from the typographical model. Typographical model was, and there's still a lot of the typographical model that still applies in a lot of psychological thinking today. So you have the pre-conscious, the conscious, and the unconscious. That was the typographical model. So basically, Freud did that, and now Jung, he was his contemporary. He didn't agree with the psychodynamic model of Freud. He broke away from Freud. Then he had his own type of model when it comes to different types of consciousness: personal consciousness, consciousness, collective unconscious, things like that. And we'll talk about the collective unconscious because the Jungian archetypes are in that subset of collective unconscious. So the collective unconscious consists of archetypes. They're pre-existing forms. So what they do is they surface in many different ways. So like dreams, memories, memory, visions, things like that are often expressed in like culture, art, within communities, with things like that. Experiences is another one that is heavily expressed in. And so because of that, you have a lot of this pro wrestling dynamic, which is included in this collective unconscious that gives the ability for pro wrestling fans to have this type of otherworldly feeling when they're in this collective type of environment. And so that's the reason why a lot of, and I've talked about groupthink, and we'll talk about groupthink in a very, very, we'll start to break down groupthink too when it comes to the minds of pro wrestling fans. And it's very common too. You also see it in business, you see it in cliques, you see a lot of groupthink. You see it all the time within social media comments. I actually had to call someone out here that would always talk about how much they love my show, and they would go on my SK stuff and do this weird, lowbrow, childish, type of thing that a few people would do. It was super, super weird. And so I had to call them out on that. Like I'm a very confrontational person. I used to be very disrespectfully confrontational, but being a strong man of faith now, I still stand my ground. I'm about my business. And so I'll let you know if I got an issue, I'll let you know. And so I called him out here on the show. I mean, for people who a few weeks ago, I called him out on that. He was like, "I love your show," and was posing question and stuff like that. I'm like, aren't you the same? And so basically a product of groupthink and other circles. And so we'll get into groupthink here in a second, but that all falls into the just kind of like an over type of like an overcast or a canopy, so to speak, of the Jungian archetypes, which is subset of the collective unconscious. All right, so let's go through the Jungian archetypes. So he talks about Travis Langley, talks about his fascination. He says that now as many readers of this blog often take psychoanalytic perspective with a pinch of salt in light of the extant evidence base. Okay, so that's another one. Psychoanalysis. Three main types of psychology. Now, this is like a crash course. I'm a college professor at this too, so this is fun, super fun to me to talk about. So, crash course of this. Okay, so you have three main type of fields of psychology. You have the type of psychodynamic. That's one Freud and contemporaries. Then you have the behaviorist, Pavlov, Maslow, etc. Then you have like humanist, which are a lot of the other type of uh, uh, other type of philosophers that's more from the contemporary. A lot of contemporary is humanist perspective and behaviorist perspective still, because CBT is a very common, still one of the most widespread cognitive behavioral therapy, one of the most widespread therapeutic interventions when it comes to therapy. So the behaviorist is still a thing, but humanist is something that's very common nowadays, as far as just like having people understand. So psychodynamic is using like it's like, it's not the most scientific, but it's like basically you have these impulses, you have these characteristics, these personalities, these levels of consciousness. So a lot of times we see it, it's the instinct, it's the impulse, we observe it, we make assessments on that. Not horrible, but behavior is just like, okay, well, we're going to discuss types of behaviors. That's when we talked about the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. We talk about Pavlovian dogs and things like that, the Pavlovian dog experiment, all those things. Then we have a humanistic. It's like, okay, so let's focus more on, like Steve de Cesar, for instance, a solution focused therapy. Let's focus more on like, it's not like a good or bad. It's not like really trying to transform like who you are. Is more understanding like let's work with what you got and find different types of pluses that way. All right, so that's again crash course. I can go more into that. So let's talk about the Jungian stereotype archetypes. He also talks about ring psychology. Quite a bit of ring psychology goes into pro wrestling in terms of developing a character that would evoke some form of emotional connection with the audience. Very true. It's evidence throughout such gimmicks. But again, this is someone who was grew up watching wrestling as a kid, left wrestling for a while, returned to pro wrestling. So that's this is a very common backdrop of people who've returned to pro wrestling. And thank you for liking. Someone like, comment, share, subscribe. We got to boost these algorithms. The more you like this video, the more it's showing YouTube that it's likable. That's the best way to describe it. The more you like as the viewer, the more it's showing YouTube that it's likable. So please, thank you very much. Like, comment, and subscribe. All right, so good wrestler has good ring psychology, knowing what move to perform and when choosing each for a purpose. For example, kicking at a feint, leg injury, selling, and so he's basically breaking it down like for dummies in a sense, as far as just the ring psychology. Talks about the theatrics and drama are what pro wrestling is all about. Maybe pageantry, the theatricality and drama are what pro wrestling is all about. All right. Again, this is from someone who doesn't. This is from someone who went out, came back, and this is his psychology when assessing this. And this person has a PhD as well. So this is what he looks at. Maybe there's more to it than maybe there's not. Maybe it's exciting live action storytelling that everyone in some way can relate to. A suggestion from discussion from Jungian archetypes, which we'll get to that. Sure, outcomes are predetermined and some elements are completely scripted. But aren't films as well? Isn't literature? So wrestling and drama, very, very important factor when it comes to pro wrestling. Again, outside the bubble, this is how people think. Pro wrestling and drama. All right. Scripting simply ensures as much excitement as possible, unlike some boxing matches where combatants simply dance around and hug each other for 12 rounds. And that's another fair assessment. A lot of times you get this Pro wrestling is really about suspense and drama and things like that. And within a boxing round, although I love boxing, there's some lull moments, there. So yeah, we can talk about that another time too when it comes to sports. Nostalgia feel, coping strategy grown men used to bring them back to a time when things were simpler or less stressful and more certain. Facts. Talks about coping strategies during lockdown. All right. So let's talk about these Jungian archetypes. All right. We'll talk about the Jungian archetypes. I'm going to go ahead and really focus on that. Let's go back to the main. All right. So there are 12. There's so much to cover that I was just thinking about. Big research guy, and I'll put a lot of my thoughts into it too. Took some notes because there's so much to talk about. So real quick, I'm going to talk about the 12 Jungian archetypes. All right. So basically, like I said, the Jungian archetypes are inside the collective unconscious, and which is a part of the psyche, and it's shared by personal experiences. All right. So that's the collective unconscious. That's the easiest way to think about it. It's pre-existent, like pre-existent forms of memory and things like that, and what you remember. That is, and it surfaces in many ways. So you have like memories, and you have certain. There's even a level where you have memories that you kind of parked for a while, and it comes back. That's actually, from a Freudian standpoint, in the typographical model before the psychodynamic model, that was talked about in the preconscious, conscious, subconscious. All right. So, all right. Unconscious, preconscious, subconscious. So, all right. So let's talk about the 12. So you have the everyman who lives a simple life. He trusts people. He's easily connectable. All right. So basically, the everyman, he finds safety in the world. He's very relatable. He's just like the everyman. All right. So he's one of those people who just kind of know how to think about things from a very simplistic way, and not easily affected by things. He just really finds the simplicity of life. All right. So there's so much more I can get into more in depth, but we only got probably 15, 20 minutes. And so I'll break this down. So thank you so much for, again, like, comment. Everybody who's on here right now, you're looking at your phone. Like everybody who's on there. Let's boost these likes up. Let's boost them up, because I'm very confident in my material. And so the thing is that people, a lot of people have such a, man, let me kind of dwell and chill with Dr. Chris, and man, this was great. Okay, thank you, but hit the like though, like show that, I mean, that's free. And so hit that like button. And I would really, really appreciate you. We really need to boost up these algorithms. All right. So let's go to the next one, which is the innocent. All right. So the innocent talks about the views. So basically, the innocent views life from an optimistic lens, very trusting, has an innocent personality, just a very positive, looks at things very, just the good in everything. For those who want to really nerd out on that, there's a concept called the Pollyanna syndrome that looks at things from a very positive thing, like everything from positive. So like that's called Pollyanna syndrome. The opposite of Pollyanna syndrome is the Eeyore complex. That that thinks, I mean, of course, Eeyore, for those who know that, they look at everything from a negative perspective. All right, so that's a little sidebar when it comes to your personal study on those psychological constructs there. All right, so you have the hero. The hero is courageous and sharing and strong, courageous and strong, adventurous, and faces challenges. All right, so that's really, really interesting when it comes to that. That is the hero. That is the person who handles things very heroically, very strong, very courageous, really big on adventure, really big on having different types of adventurous things, very bold in their lifestyle, they look for things to do that's unconventional, for instance, and they're they're the ones who are just the bold ones who parachute and ski and hike and do all this. The caregiver is the next one. This person puts the well-being of others at top priority. So here's the thing. This person really looks at the vulnerable, and they really focus on providing and protecting a vulnerable person, a vulnerable population. This is a person who is very empathic, sometimes too empathic when it comes to really caring about people. And the one who's a caregiver needs to pay attention, like, okay, is this person taking advantage of me? Is this person really spending the time with showing me that they are appreciating what I'm doing for them or what I do? Or is this person kind of spending a lot of time focusing on leeching off of me? And sometimes the person who's a caregiver and like a super empath, they don't really know how to let go or detach from a leech. And so that's what you have to really pay attention to as a caregiver. Explorer, very independent, curious, also adventurous. But this explorer is the one who pushes boundaries. This is different from the hero as far as like faces challenges and knowing how to overcome challenges, focuses a lot on facing, not being afraid to face challenges, and not being afraid to not only conquer the challenges, be an example, be an inspiration of conquering these challenges. The person who's an explorer, they're more about like pushing the boundaries. They're the more of like, okay, well, I'm going to make a Guinness Book of World Records. I'm going to beat that. I'm going to, this person thinks that they could run, a 4:1 and a 40. Okay, cool. Well, I'm going to break that personal record. I'm going to be adventurous. I'm also going to be independent. I'm not going to go with the group. Okay, this group wants to do this. Okay, well, I'm going to step aside and do that. Now, that's interesting. Now, that's not the explorer from a pro wrestling group mentality is not really conducive to what we see now when it comes to the collective mind of a pro wrestling community. The explorer is not the best, example of a Jungian archetype that is shown nowadays. Innocence, not really. Everyman, perhaps. Hero, not so much. Caregiver, no. Explorer, not really. Not really. Rebel, exhibits defiance, drives culture and societal change. Okay. So the rebel is the one who is like the revolutionary, the trailblazer. Those are the ones who does that, who really exhibits that. The other person is from a rebel perspective is also defiant. So you could integrate a pro wrestling group mind or group think when it comes to that. Cultural defiance, yes. Pro wrestling culture is very, very misfit. I mean, it's very, I mean, it's people who feel like they're ostracized in culture. They come to a pro wrestling type of culture. And pro wrestling is absolutely a culture. And they are defiant. They do exhibit defiance. And so what happens with that is they become a rebel. So that's a critique that I have. But when it comes to a rebel, when it comes to saying, okay, look, this is, I mean, like there's different movements. I'll say that's really defied culture in a positive way, that really helped people become more aware of certain subcultures. And so that's worth commending. Historically, I'll say that. But when it comes to the pro wrestling, yes, the defiance piece could be positive, but the problem is the defiance really overtakes the way that they think. And so that's the problem with that. Then you have a lover. You have a lover archetype, which shows passion, emotion, sensuality. And here's the thing about a lover. This person can easily forge personal relationships. This person is really skilled at that. This person has a really good proclivity to be personable, forge these types of relationships. And so that is a very cool factor of Rebel. Again, for the second time, I'll go because I definitely want to address some of these questions too. So we're hoping you, this is like very informational, something that you can continue to watch over and over when it comes to interacting with people, which is the reason why you should like it and boost those algorithms and share it with other people. Like I'm going to start really being informational and educational with PNP episodes. All right. Creators, the next one, shows imagination and innovation, often inspires others. So this person is very innovative, very imaginative. This person like looks at things. My daughter's like this. She's definitely got a creator archetype. My wife and I was just talking about her recently, today, I think it was, we had brunch together after my back procedure. And we were just talking about my daughter, how creative she is. I mean, she's just she'll be 7 in a couple of weeks. And she's just so creative, a few weeks. She's so creative. She'll create stick figures and it's like whole different worlds to her. Like she'll look at, we had family night, last week. I took my wife and kids to a game room / amusement facility. And so we had pizza, played games. They were in the jungle gym where I was watching, and we had a lot of fun. They had a lot of fun, and my wife and I, we were playing a lot of games while they were playing in the jungle gym. And what happened was we got some tickets, and they got some tickets too when they were done with the jungle gym. And they bought different things for their tickets. Of course, if you go to an amusement or a game room facility, you get tickets. Then there's a list of things that you can redeem your tickets for. So there was like a little stick figure, a little green stick figure, and then there was like one of those rolling type of chomped mouths that you have to turn in like a jukebox type of mechanics. And so I was thinking of something, and me and her, we vibe like that a lot, just very creative. And I was thinking like, cause she was just trying to like figure out what to do with both of them. She's trying to roll it up and just like work with the chomping mouth. And I was like, I just thought in my head, I was like, I'm going to roll the chopping mouth and I'm going to make this a whole thing. I'm going to make this like we were at the table where you ate the pizza at. And so I was like, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the little stick figure like that big. What can I do with these two things? So I was like, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the stick figure pretend that like there's this big mouth monster. It's the big mouth monster. So he'll hear the chomping. So he'll be looking back and he'll be like, man, where's the big mouth monster? And he'll be coming closer to the big mouth monster. And all of a sudden he hears the big chomps and he's like, oh, he starts running. My daughter, just like that, picked it up and ran with it. Like she absolutely ran with it. And it was awesome because she started doing it. And now I use my fingers as another figure of like to join the green stick figure of the big chomp monster. And she does that with stuff in her room, with toys in her room. She has a big old cup of like mini kitchen. She cooks and stuff. She's wonderful with that. So yeah, I mean, I can talk about all of my family when it comes to different things here. But that was the one I thought about first. My son is the jester. My wife is the caregiver. My oldest son is the jester. My my youngest son is a unpolished ruler. We'll talk about that in a minute. All right, so we'll have he's caring too, super caring. He's a sweetheart, but he's like he's like, man, let me get you together. All right, so now we got the jester. The jester's very lighthearted, funny, playful, knows how to be the jokester. So that's pretty self-explanatory. The jester, the person who's always funny, always find something to laugh about. People with jesters, people are like, man, your sense of humor isn't the best. So, or it's ill-timed. Usually jesters and jokesters, they find something that they can make people laugh about. Some people are just like Eeyore-ish and like can't laugh at anything. And even the jester at times can do that. But the person, maybe mourning something and the jester is trying to find levity in something. They're like, maybe not the right timing. The jester's like, okay, well, let me integrate being compassionate, but I'm still going to, be the jokester. All right. So now you have the sage. This person is very wise, emotionally stable, problem solving, analytical. That is me 100%. I am absolutely the sage. This person is very analytical, sometimes can be too analytical. But yeah, just the problem solver, the very emotionally stable, and the one who's wise, the one who people comes to a lot for counsel, and just imparting, just to share wisdom, just to rub off the wisdom. And so that's a really interesting part. Then we got the magician. The magician is not like a hocus pocus. This person is called a magician because they focus on change and transform. Usually they use like scientific or metaphysical means to invoke or try to inspire change or transformation for someone or something. So they're like a nerdy person who's a nerdy rebel in a sense, like not from a defiant standpoint, but more of a intellectual standpoint of using that. Then we got the ruler. The ruler inspires people to take responsibility for their own lives, creates order and structure to society. That person is the go-to person when it comes to really inspiring people. The person who is the person who pushes types of concepts and plans and structures to people, and really challenges them to consider them, to highly consider them, and also challenges people and keeps them accountable for taking responsibility of their own self to make the world better. All right. So those are the archetypes. That's the mind, the concept of a pro wrestler. So a lot of these archetypes does deal with imagine and change and creativity and defiance, and all those particular things can also be it can be presented from a world of a pro wrestler as the hero or the villain. And then it's interesting to see which of these archetypes in someone's personal life that they're connecting to the pro wrestling world by one of their common archetypes. So that is that, ladies and gentlemen. That was super fun. We absolutely have to do that all the time. I really enjoyed that. All right, we got a few more minutes, and so without further ado, it is now time for the question cast. All right. Let's go. All right. The People's Wrestling Channel. The woman in wrestling is a huge reason men must watch. All right. So, woman in wrestling. Okay. Let me say this real quick. Let me share this real quick. So, when I was thinking of, I really want to break this down. So, when it comes to the collective unconscious, there's four main things: persona, anima, animus, shadow, self. Persona, what's the mask that you use to the outside world? Anima and animus is basically a mirror of personalities, but in a converse type of way. Like, what type of Carl Jung was real big on, like, each male and female has qualities or characteristics of the other sex. And so anima animus talks about that. Like, what is it about the other sex that I have qualities about? Like, am I caring? Am I, like, women are typically nurturers. Men are typically tough and hard, you know what I mean? So, but it creates balance if men are tough and hard and are also nurturers. It also creates balance if women are tough or hard, but are about their business and stand on their own. So, that's basically anima animus. Shadow is, what are some things that you're hiding from society, which is a contrast to persona. And then the other one is self. And that's like, what a part of you are you giving, either unconsciously or even sometimes consciously, what part of all this or of knowledge that you understand are you showing to society? So that is that. So when it comes to like this and Carl Jung, anima and animus is really interesting because pro wrestling is a male dominated sport because of the toughness, the grit and all that. But a lot of women, from an anima and animus standpoint, they're like, okay, well, I like to show this part. That's a Jungian concept. I love to show this part out. As far as just, yes, I might be a nurturer, but I'm a pro wrestling fan. That's the world that I'm showing when it comes to those particular things. So we can break that down another time for the sake of time. All right, so People's Wrestling Channel, your thoughts on the women's U.S. title. Also, who should win it? It can't be someone who could go after the women's title. For the sake of time, Bill Apter and I just talked about that in our previous show right before this one. I said Charlotte Flair, and I explained why on that show. All right, Elvis, do you acknowledge Solo as the new tribal chief? No. Elvis, would you rather have a root beer float or a hot fudge sundae? Oh, nice. Let's go root beer float, man. You can't go wrong on a root beer float for sure. People's Wrestling Channel is an amazing thing. We can an insight on your world as a psychologist. I love being a doctor of psychology. I really do. A psychology PhD. It's so fun, man. It's so fun. It's incredibly fun. I really love nerding out with this stuff. It's being a college professor is so exciting because I get to nerd out. I get to have fun. I get to, I'm like, I was thinking about today. I was like, come on, like, I always think about what is it about my platform that I can offer that's different from others. And that's always when I mentor people, as you know, when I mentor people, I'll say that. Like, let's talk from business standpoint. What is about what do you do? What are you skilled at doing? I am skilled at psychology. I have a whole PhD at it. So I was like, man, you know what? I'm about to change the game. Like, I'm about to really help people understand psychology in pro wrestling. A lot of my shows on Sportskeeda, I get to dab into it, but there's certain people who just, I mean, like, they're not. I talked about, so IQ and EQ are really big. Emotional intelligence, an intelligence quotient, on the intellectual intelligence. A lot of people can't understand that psychological aspect because of where they are emotionally and intellectually. So it's just like, I mean, it goes way over their head. And unfortunately, there's a culture in pro wrestling that shows that. And I'm like, nah, man, let's break that mold. Let's be more nerdy. Let's be more psychological. Let's be more psychoanalytical. Let's be more intellectual when it comes to understanding this business, man. So I can bring the psychological part of it too, for sure. I mean, I'm skilled at that. All right, we're getting a wireless microphone, improve the quality of my podcast. Was more about my content. Man, that's like Patreon stuff, man. I can help you with that on the Patreon. Dr. Chris, how are you doing today? I'm sore. I'm very sore. Been battling a headache all day. I'm gonna take my medicine, my procedure medicine. They wanted me to take it before. I didn't get it. Took it. I'm going to take it after. They said they wanted me to take it before I got it, so it can reduce some of this pain. But I mean, I had an epidural. They put a big old needle in my back and they were going all in my back. He was really good. But I was feeling like, at first it was a poke. It was like a stinging. And then it was just like a gripping, like my muscles were like being like pressured and gripped throughout the entire time. They were really happy with how I took it, how tough I took it. But in my head, I was like, Lord Jesus, be a fence. So I'm glad I did it. And I got a really good feeling that I'll get some type of relief for the first time in a long time, really ever, after 3 surgeries. I most definitely can't wait for you to cover why some people take wrestling so serious as if it's a life or death situation. I'm excited for that, for sure. Yeah, we gonna get it on that one. But if you like, if you comment, if you subscribe, if you share, and then more people will watch it. All right, James, it's not about wrestling related, but I know like conspiracy theories, and I heard there's one around I think you mean Bob Saget's death. Do you think there's more death than we're told? Man, there's so much with that. I can't go into. I mean, I watched Bob Saget documentaries about like him dying in the hotel room, and was it staged? It really wasn't a good still hasn't been a really understandable explanation of his death. So yeah, that's interesting. It's interesting why I can see how people can challenge that, what we know publicly, or at least medically. I love how you explain things, very well spoken. Thank you, my man. I really, really appreciate that. James, I got into an argument with a person yesterday who was telling me WWE in 2024 is amazing storyline wise and the best he's ever seen, and thinks 80s Attitude Era's early 2 are awful. I'm hoping you were defending the 80s and early 2000s not being awful. That's for sure. I think you were. I told them they were way better errors than anyway. Very nice. I believed in you, James. I believed in you. And he still bashed me and disagreed. So I wasn't made, but really feel bad for him. It's like what you want, Vince. What you and Vince say a lot total mark. Yeah, man. There's too much of those nowadays. What's up, Rollin? I watched it because my father watched it. My brothers watched it because I watched it, but most of the friends never watched it and they still don't watch it. Very, very interesting. My sister never watched it, and I think my father didn't watch it, and then my brothers would have never watched pro wrestling. My brother and I grew up watching pro wrestling. My brother left watching wrestling just like many other people, probably during the Attitude Era, maybe, yeah, during Attitude Era, and yep, 25 years later, nah. Who's going to be in the WWE Hall of Fame next year? See, yep. So ask me that on X at Chris Prolific, and I'll tackle that. That's a lot. Yeah, like that's a lot. Lot to talk about that I don't have the time to talk about. Like button press. Thank you, Rollin. See, Rollin knows how to listen. He's a good listener. So I'm expecting a lot of likes after this. Lots of boosts. Comment on. I'm telling you, I study YouTube like crazy. Like I study algorithms, all that. I study like the importance of thumbnails and titles and tags and all of that stuff. And so like I am going in as far as understanding, as far as algorithms, but there's only so much I can do. And then I'm passing it to you all. And then when I'm passing it to you all, it's literally which is free, literally commenting on the bottom of this video, which is free, not live. Like comment live is fine, but on the bottom of this video, free, sharing, free, subscribing, free. I gave you 4 free options. And if you do all of them together and add them up, how much do they cost? Nothing. They're free. So I'd appreciate it. I got into watching wrestling from my older brother, and we still watch it together. It was getting harder to enjoy some of his product when it's so predictable. Yes, well said. What's your favorite match? And again, for the sake of time, I can't get all these in. A favorite match or moment from the Big Boss Man. Okay, really enjoyed his 15 match against Undertaker's for the song ending, not song ending. I meant of that match. WWE, we can never do it today. Oh yeah, the hanging. Yeah, that was crazy. When he turned face against DiBiase, man, I was a big fan of that. I love the face. I love the stories when it comes to old school. Like I think it was Slick or DiBiase tried to buy him, and like he was just like, I think he was being sold, and he was like, "Nah, man, what? That's not me." I love that type of stuff, man. That is amazing. Like you're spending so much time saying, "Nah, we ain't doing that. I ain't nobody's bidding war. I don't have a dollar amount to me. Who the heck is that? Like, who are y'all talking about? What they do that at? Now that ain't me. That's for sure." Rollin X Doc, I doubt that men watch women in wrestling for the actual wrestling. I think the men did watch a little bit for Sunny, Stable, and Trish, but that's about it. I think more now than then, even Attitude Era. I think before women they watched because they would just have the onesies, and they were glamorous, but they weren't like sex appeal. I mean, so there's a lot of people who watch wrestling for that. Attitude Era. Absolutely sex appeal. Definitely there were some people there that worked. Ruthless Aggression, that's where we get the Litas and the Trishas. It was a combination of both in many ways. Nowadays, there's sex appeal is still a thing, but it's really wrestling heavy now. Ezekiel, what's up, my man? Keep doing the show, Dr. Chris. Absolutely, man. Yeah, we're going to have some fun, as we do always. This is 678 episodes, y'all. 678 episodes. Can you believe that? I'm looking at, I haven't seen one new person subscribe right now. So I want to see at least 20 subscribe more this show. And then if we keep doing that, 20, 25, 30, 100, we're going to do increments. We're on the road to 1,000. Let's get 1,000 within the next 30, 60 days, man. We can do it together. I mean, if all the people, if they shared, we gonna get it, man. We're gonna have a great time. I'm gonna nerd out on PNP. That's what we're going to do for the remainder of this show. We're going to have a great time. So, all right, y'all, be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. Again, all of that is free. Go to YouTube, wherever platform you're at now. Go to YouTube after this show. Don't forget, youtube.com/pancakes and power slams. And I know that y'all got like extra like tablets and all that stuff, so you can do it right now. You ain't got to leave, but you can do it right now. And you can hit that like button, comment, and share and subscribe. And I thank you so much for joining the show. We want to hang out real quick on the Patreon, patreon.com/pancakes and power slams. We're going to have some fun on there just like we do every single week. Patreon.com/pancakes and power slams. Again, patreon.com/pancakes and power slams. Good crowd tonight. Thank you so much. Let your friends know. Let your family know. Let your auntie and them know, uncle and them know that I know a psychology doctor who breaks down pro wrestling psychology. Man, you gotta check out this. You gotta check out this YouTube channel, man. He really, like, it's unprecedented. You got a doctor of psychology talking about pro wrestling psychology. So there you go. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, patreon.com/pancakes and power slams. We heading over there. Until next week, enjoy your week of wrestling. God bless. And always remember, I do it for you. Have a good night, everybody. Solo.